Hi, my name is Claire Sharp, and our topic is biocontrol.
I'm John Johnson.
And I'm Aiden Bunner.
So, the definition of biocontrol is the use by humans of beneficial insects, such as predators and parasitoids, or pathogens, such as fungi and viruses, to control unwanted insects, weeds, or diseases.
Modern biocontrol. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, between 20 to 40% of global crop production is lost to pests annually. Each year, plant diseases cost the global economy around $220 billion, and invasive insects around $70 billion. Modern chemical pesticides were developed in the 1950s. Silent Spring raised widespread concerns about the environmental impacts of chemical pesticides, which has led to a greater interest in alternative pest management methods like biocontrol. Integrated pest management programs emerged in the 1970s. According to the USDA, their classical biocontrol program has saved growers hundreds of millions of dollars annually since 1953, primarily due to the reduced pesticide costs. Total grower savings from biocontrol over the past 2 decades are estimated at $2 billion or more.
The types of biocontrol. Conservation focuses on conserving existing natural enemies in the environment. Classic importation involves introducing non-native enemies of pests, which then establish a permanent population. Augmentation supplements existing natural enemy populations by releasing more agents. In conservation, utilizes simple practices such as leaving fallen leaves for insect shelter and planting specific crops to attract beneficial insects. Examples include promoting the presence of predators like lacewings and lady beetles. Classic importation. Successes include controlling pests like cottony cushion scale with predators like the Vidalia beetle in Australia and California. Effective in controlling pests like the alfalfa weevil and invasive species like alligator weed and giant salvinia. Augmentation, periodic release to establish long-term control or introduce large numbers to rapidly reduce pest populations. Example, a parasitoidal wasp like Encarsia formosa to control the greenhouse whitefly.
So, our first major example is the use of trichoderma in agriculture. Trichoderma, Aspergillus, Penicillium, Gliocladium, and Saccharomyces are popular biocontrol agents against bacterial, oomycete, and fungal plant pathogens. Between 50% and 60% of the global market for biocontrol agents around the world is based on the contents of several trichoderma species. Rhizosphere filamentous fungi of the Trichoderma genus are dominant in various soil ecosystems. Trichoderma can act as a saprotrope, an endophytic plant symbiote, or a mycoparasite. It's also known as the causal agent for disease through toxic house mold. However, its main use is to control fungal and oomycete pathogens. It demonstrates strong antagonistic potential against over 80% of plant pathogens. It's also used in insect control. It controls directly through parasitism, synthesis of insecticidal compounds, repelling metabolites, and anti-feeding chemicals. For example, it controls nematodes by parasitizing their eggs and larvae, as well as degrading their cuticles with hydrolytic enzymes and secondary metabolites. Furthermore, its hyphae can form a physical and chemical barrier protecting plant roots. Indirectly, it controls through methods such as attracting natural enemies, stimulating systemic plant defense mechanisms, and parasitizing insect symbiotic microbes. For example, Trichoderma asperellum enhances resistance in tomato seedlings against leaf spot diseases caused by Alternaria alternata. Finally, Trichoderma also has other host benefits, such as plant growth and increased tolerance to abiotic stress. It increases plant growth through phytohormones like auxin and gibberellin, as well as phytoregulators like ACC deaminase. Its presence in the rhizosphere and plant tissues increases plant tolerance to abiotic stresses such as drought, salinity, heavy metal accumulation, and extreme temperatures.
Agriculture, biocontrols in greenhouses. Biofungicides in greenhouses. Biofungicides are compilations of living organisms, including fungi, bacteria, and actinomycetes, that are being used in the deterrence and eradication of plant pathogens through a number of different methods and processes. Some of those processes are rhizosphere competence, in which root surfaces of host plants are colonized so pathogens are starved of nutrients or outcompeted for them. In parasitism, hyphae is coiled around the host fungus and cellular walls of the pathogen are penetrated. Biofungicides are currently being employed in the greenhouse industry and are applied preventatively to growth media or as a seed treatment for root and crown disease control, and can be as effective as chemical fungicides. The most effective use of biofungicides is as a preventative treatment in growing media or as a seed treatment.
Another example is silkworms in industrial. So the mulberry tree is a crop that is grown for its fruits and medicinal properties, but the mulberry plants are unfortunately facing multiple threats from phytopathogens and herbivores. The fungal pathogen Botrytis cinerea is a gray mold that is highly destructive and difficult to prevent or control. B. cinerea has developed resistance to all fungicides due to its excessive use. Choletotrichum dimadium, another pathogenic fungi, unlike B. cinerea, can be easily treated with an endophytic bacterium, Burkholderia cepacia. B. cepacia is an opportunistic human pathogen and attacks young plants such as tobacco, limiting its possible use as a biocontrol agent. Silkworms are the larvae of the silk moth, which are bred for their economic value of silk. The main source of its food for the silkworm is the leaf of the white mulberry tree. Since mulberry leaves are used to feed silkworms and are processed into pharmaceutical products, the improper use of agrochemicals to treat these diseases and herbivores could be hazardous to silkworms and humans. B. amylocufaciens is a good candidate for the development of biocontrol strategies against emerging gray mold-related infectious diseases like B. cinerea and notorious lepidopteran pests.
The advantages and disadvantages of biocontrol. Advantages include sustainability, cost-effective and environmentally sound method of pest controls, especially compared to the use of broad-spectrum chemical pesticides, can be part of an integrated pest management or IPM program. Climate change will intensify issues with industrial agriculture, altering habitats and species interactions. Integrated pest management, including biocontrol, can enhance agricultural stability and protect the environment by reducing the need for chemical pesticides. Disadvantages include effects on non-target native species. Most biocontrol agents are target specific. However, there is always the possibility of unpredictable or detrimental effects on native species that live near the targeted pest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.